Dr. Dan Yachter, the chiropractor. Let me get some light here. Happy Wednesday, and this is our Wednesday segment, news, views, and weekly updates. And we're broadcasting originally here from our My Family, My Mission private Facebook group. And this will also be seen throughout the internet and also in our YouTube channel as well. And each Wednesday, what I do is I kind of handpick, cherry pick all of the news that's fit to print, kind of the headlines out there. And hey, Julie, good to see you there. What I try to do is just kind of give you what's out there on the healthcare landscape. You know, what are the overarching important health topics, headlines, what's out there in the news, what's being talked about. So I'm going to go ahead and cover those. And each week, usually pick like 2, 3, 4 different articles just to kind of keep you guys up to speed with what's going on in the health world, the healthcare world. So one of the things that I'm going to mention again, which most of you guys already know about, we have coming up on May 20th, Slow Your Aging Process Down. Slowing the Clock, Anti-Aging, May 20th, 6:30 p.m. That's going to be here. It's a Tuesday in the office. And we want you here. We got room. And there is no substitute for learning, for being here, for having your butts in the seat. It is a totally different experience when you're actually here learning and growing, elevating, and getting armed and equipped with the knowledge. So whether you are an active patient of mine or not, the masterclasses are free. If you're an active patient, please bring guests with you because this is a learning experience, arming and equipping and empowering our community to live their best life, their best, healthiest life. That's why we do these masterclasses. So plug in, it's going to be a great one. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and jump into we have actually 2 really good articles that I want to talk about. One's about giving blood, being a blood donor. The other one is seed oils, omega-6 seed oils or plant-based oils. I want to talk about that because there's a lot of confusion surrounding that topic. But I start with the statement that was released by Secretary Kennedy, RFK Jr., talks about how it's a difficult moment right now for everybody at the Health and Human Services Department because they're letting a lot of people go. Despite spending almost $2 trillion per year, the Health and Human Services, which houses the CDC, Center for Disease Control, the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, and the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. So those 3, along with a lot of other agencies, the Center for Medicare, communications, basically the Medicare, Medicaid departments are under Health and Human Services, 80,000 employees. So, basically, spending almost $2 trillion per year, yet we are the sickest developed country in the world, sickest industrialized nation in the world. In the past 4 years alone, the agency's budget has grown by 38%, but yet we continue to get sicker and sicker. Crazy. So again, there's, obviously he's let a lot of people go. I think, in the past 4 years alone, the budget's grown by 38%, but I think he's just cut the budget by quite a bit more than that. But the changes have to happen because the U.S. healthcare spending is the highest among all developed countries, yet we are the sickest. We now can expect to live 3 years less than Cubans. And why is that important? Because Cuba doesn't have a fraction of, quote unquote, the healthcare system that we have. Really, in essence, we don't have one. We have a sick and disease care system. So nonetheless, there's a major revamp, an overhaul going on at the Health and Human Services Department. And the main reason why is because there's a new mission that's been established there, and it's to stop the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. Again, if they take a $2 trillion budget, maybe you bring it down to, $300 billion a year instead of $2 trillion a year. You make us healthy again. That's not only a healthier country, which is great for all of us, but we are saving taxpayers, you and I, a huge amount of money overall. So nonetheless, the next article, which is a great one, frequent blood donation linked to beneficial genetic changes. I'm a very strong advocate of giving blood. I try to do it as often as I can, not as often as I want to, but I try to get over to the blood bank when I can. I was doing it more often, but I'm not right now. But I mean, at minimum once per year is my minimum goal. And the gist of this article is that people who give frequently, once per quarter, once every 6 months, they develop genetic mutations that support healthy blood cell production and potentially reduce blood cancer risk. So I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I'll kind of give you the overview. And it talks about regular blood donors could be receiving more than just the satisfaction of helping others. So there's a tremendous benefit of just the act of giving and helping and donating. But people who give blood regularly develop genetic mutations that appear to support healthy blood cell production and potentially reduce the risk of blood cancers, according to new research, offering an unexpected health perk for those who routinely roll up their sleeves. The genetic mutations, as we get older, our body cells, including blood cells, naturally accumulate mutations, heightening the risk of diseases like cancer. But in a new study published in Blood, the scientific journal Blood, researchers investigated whether regular blood donation might affect this process. The study compared two groups of healthy male donors in their 60s. One group had donated more blood more than 100 times over 40 years, while the other had donated only about 5 times. The researchers recruited, and again, it's a small study, but I think the findings are important, 217 frequent donors and 212 irregular donors, and analyzed the genes of their blood stem cells and mature blood cells. Compared with irregular donors, frequent blood donors had genetic changes in their blood stem cells linked to decreased risk of leukemia and increased resilience to stress. In both frequent and non-frequent donor cells had changes in the DNMT3A gene, which is linked to leukemia. But in frequent blood donors, these gene changes were in different spots than the ones usually seen in leukemia. So nonetheless, there's a lot more to the article, but the gist of it is that if you donate blood regularly, you not only turn these good genes on that protect you from blood cancers, but also you just have what they're talking about at the end of the article here is that when you donate blood we all know that while you're sitting there giving the blood, like you're thinking about, I am potentially saving a life. There's someone who needs my blood. There are people who may have had a car accident or someone with cancer or someone who's undergone a complex surgery, and they could use my blood. And that's a good feeling, knowing that. So those good feelings alone, forget about the genetic mutation that protects you from blood cancer, but that good feeling alone, knowing you're doing a good act, that also has a very powerful, beneficial health impact. So just a great article overall. And again, I'm a very, very strong advocate for donating blood, although I don't get to it as often as I'd like to, nowhere near the amount I should be giving. I do it when I can. The next article talks about, let me go ahead and bring this one up. This is the seed oil one. And let me go ahead and find it here. So yeah, the next one up, if you scroll up, I post these in the Facebook group. If you're watching this on another channel, maybe you're watching this through YouTube, you can go to our private group and join My Family, My Mission, and you'll see this article about seed oils, high omega-6, a twofold concern in the incomplete science. So the science still needs to be done on seed oils, but if you come to my master classes, you always hear me talk about don't cook with these oils. They turn rancid, they get hydrogenated, they turn into plastic-like substances, things like canola, corn, even olive oil safflower, cottonseed oil, safflower, soy, sunflower are big ones, even avocado oil, like all these oils that are squeezed out of fruits or seeds, they can present a problem. They're all not bad, and you want to balance between, these are omega-6, which are, it's like a seesaw. You have omega-3 oils, which again, if you're really interested, I encourage you to jump into this article, but think of a seesaw. On one side, you have sitting seed oils, which when they go into the body, they get converted into omega-6, arachidonic oils. On the other side of the seesaw, you have sitting the omega-3 oils, which are DHA, EPA. Primary source are fish oils, and those are linolenic oils. So in the body, you want a balance, like on the seesaw. You want both omega-3 and omega-6. So omega-6, and I've had a lot of people walk away from our master classes and get a little confused about this topic. You want both because, for example, the immune system, when it goes after something in the body, it needs inflammation. The primary weapon of warfare of your immune system is inflammation, a blowtorch. The primary weapon of warfare of the immune system, again, is heat, inflammation, blowtorching things. And the only way it can do that is it needs arachidonic acid. It needs linoleic or these seed oil derivatives to do it, to create inflammation. So inflammation is not all bad. Inflammation is good when appropriate. But you need plenty of omega-3s to kind of balance out the equation. So again, you need both. The problem is that everywhere, the seed oils are ubiquitous. They're all over the place. In every food, everything that's bagged, canned, boxed, wrapped, bakery goods, I mean, all of it. Everything has the seed oils in it. So there's an overabundance of it, which is tipping the seesaw over to the point of creating chronic inflammation of the body, accelerating heart disease, brain disease, things of that nature. So we want balance. The other problem is that the seeds, canola, especially corn, safflower, sunflower, soy, these are typically crops that are heavily sprayed with, Monsanto type products, the weed killers. There's a ton of pesticides, just bad chemicals that are put on these things. So when you're getting these things, especially deep fried oils, you're not only getting the rancidity and the oxidation that's created, but you're also bringing in a ton of chemicals with it. Unlike, at least not as much with fish or, for example, what they talk about in the article, the better cooking oils are things like tallow, beef tallow, which has a very high smoke point, or coconut oil. These seed oils also run into an issue when they have low rancidity levels or low cooking heat. They're damaged with very low heat. So when if you cook beyond medium and certainly in a high heat, you take these oils and you basically morph them molecularly into something that's equivalent to like plastic. And then you're eating them, and clearly it's going to create a big problem. Things like beef tallow and coconut oil, to a lesser degree, lard. These are saturated oils, and believe it or not, contrary to what most of us have heard, they're better to cook with because they're more stable. But again, there's another factor in this. Also, if you are going to start using saturated fat, there's another very important factor when it comes to your health and our own individual genetic makeup. Some people do not do well with saturated fat. So cooking too much with saturated fat can pose or present a problem for some people based on their genetic profile. That's why I always recommend testing in my office, looking at your cardiovascular picture, getting very granular, doing an NMR study, which really shows you the particle or particular landscape of how your body is doing with LDL and the small dense LDLs, the LPA, the There's ApoE. There are different particles that can show you that you're at higher risk if you put more saturated fat in your body. ApoE4 gene, that's another one that you want to know about, because your body genetically, again, if it shows up on a test and you have mutations in that gene, you may not do well with cooking with saturated fat. If you are going to use the seed oils, you got to be careful, because what they do is, in order to get the seed oils on the shelf and give them shelf life in the grocery store, they have to be heated. They're basically chemicalized with different solvents. They're deodorized. They're bleached. There's all kinds of adulteration done to these oils to get them on the shelf and to give them shelf life, so they can stay there and not necessarily taste horrible when you go to use them. So even before you heat them up, they're not really healthy. So if you are going to use seed oils, you want to use, non-cooked, not heated up. Ideally, put them on salads, or just kind of be very careful. If you go to cook with, say, for example, olive oil, which is a better one, keep it on low heat. Very important, cooking with these oils, and get a better brand. There are brands that are not adulterated, there are oils that are not bleached, deodorized, heated, run through solvents, just crushed and, stripped of all nutrient value. There are some good brands. You just have to read the labels, and that's important. So again, really important article. There's a lot of confusion when it comes to these oils and this topic. Like I mentioned, a lot of patients come up to me and they're really confused after I talk about this at the master classes. But know that you don't have to eliminate these things completely from your diet. The omega-6 oils, the canola, corn, safflower, peanut oil, safflower, sunflower, soy, olive oil. You don't have to eliminate these just because they're omega-6 based. You definitely don't want to deep fry them. You need a balance of them, but that's the whole point of it. The problem is that omega-6 competes for enzymes in your body, and so it'll outcompete the omega-3 enzymes that are needed to convert the omega-3s into being beneficial compounds to be used by the body. So again, it's all about balance. You just have to make sure, if you are cooking a lot with the seed oils, you also either have an omega-3 EPA DHA supplement coming in, or that you're taking daily, or maybe you cook your fish in olive oil or you cook your fish in the soy oil. So you're getting your omega-6 with the omega-3s. It's got to be balanced out. If you want more information about it, talk to me, message me, leave me a comment, and I'll try to get you more information on this topic if it's still confusing. So as always, I appreciate you joining me for this weekly segment, Dr. Dan Yachter's News, Views, and Weekly Updates. I'm broadcasting from our private group, My Family, My Mission. But many of you guys will see this in other, like, for example, YouTube. You'll see it posted elsewhere. But nonetheless, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm always here to help and support. And thank you for joining me. And again, mark your calendars, May 20th, anti-aging, slowing your aging process down, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. at my office in Lake Mary. We'll see you then.